And welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm going to try out a video response here. I've never done one of these before, so forgive me if I mess it up. There's a fellow out of the UK that I follow. I'm subscribed to him. His name is Novabug. Great channel. I'll put links below. He, every once in a while, will do a thing called the Friday Foursome, where he asks, what are 4 things in this category that you would like to talk about or list? And the most recent one is really interesting to me. It's, what are your 4 most desired things that are gaming related? And he says the sky is the limit, could be anything you want. Some people have posted some really good ones. And I just thought I'd try and do a video response to that and try and figure out how to let Novabug know about it. I'll work that out later. Anyway, my 4 items. Now, since I don't own any of these things, I'm going to have to insert pictures of each one. So I'll try and do so, and sorry that the audio cuts out during the photo insert. So item number 1 is a little bit of a cheat. It's actually 2 things, kind of. It's a video game, and it's called Final Fight Revenge. It only came out in Japan, and it only came out on the Sega Saturn. I don't have a Sega Saturn. And I have looked at the Sega Saturn library to see what are the kind of games that came out for it, and really, other than Final Fight Revenge and 1 or 2 others, I just never really was interested. So that's why I haven't got a Sega Saturn. And first of all, here's what Final Fight Revenge looks like as far as the cover is concerned. And what's noteworthy is you have to have a Japanese Sega Saturn, and here's what one of those looks like. Now, there is a way around this if you really wanted to. There are these cartridge things you can get where you can play imports or discs that you have burned yourself. So I could get a North American Sega Saturn, and then, I live in Canada, by the way, and I could burn Final Fight Revenge and make that work. It's I haven't really bothered with that, though, because I have no other need for a Sega Saturn in my life, and my inputs on the TV are not terribly... There aren't too many spots left. I'm kind of swapping things out when I want to play stuff. So to get a Sega Saturn that has to be able to play Japanese imports for 1 game doesn't really seem worth it. Why Final Fight Revenge, you ask? It's a terrible game. It's one of the worst ones. Everybody hates it. My reasons are a little odd. The Final Fight characters, I really always enjoyed the game, and one of them has always been strangely fascinating to me, and that is the villain called Poison. She's, well, here's what she looks like. So yeah, she is one of the many henchmen in the original Final Fight game that you beat up, and there's a very long and involved story regarding Poison. I'm not going to get into that here, but suffice it to say, I find her fascinating. And yes, I find her fascinating. That's a topic for another conversation another time. I'll do a video about that. Anyway, what's interesting about Final Fight Revenge, that was the first time you could ever play Poison. I mean, she's one of the... It's a fighting game, like a Street Fighter type thing. And you could actually play as Poison. It's the very first game that ever allowed it. So when I first heard about this, I thought, oh, I gotta get one! But Final Fight Revenge is in very limited supply, and it's very expensive on eBay. And again, there's that limitation of the Japanese Saturn requirement. Okay, get an emulator or burn a disc of it. Well, apparently the Sega Saturn is very difficult to emulate, so that's been kind of difficult to manage. And with Poison now being out for Street Fighter Cross Tekken and also Ultra Street Fighter 4, I can play Poison, and I can play her much more interestingly with better moves, way better graphics, in a better game. So I just never pursued the Final Fight Revenge / Japanese Sega Saturn angle. So that's my first item. Number 2, big Atari fan. Absolutely huge. Love my 2600. Many, many years ago, Atari dabbled with handhelds. And I'm not talking about the Lynx. They actually developed something, and I want to say pre-Game Boy era, or very, very early on anyway, called the Atari Cosmos. Here's a picture of that. Yeah, it looks more like a Star Trek tricorder than a game, but apparently used some kind of spinning mirror with LEDs, and it created what they call a holographic type of a display. And I've never seen one, I've only ever seen pictures of it. And being a big Atari guy, I would love to have one. Apparently there's very few in existence, one or two in some museum somewhere. So to me, that's like the holy grail unattainable thing. I would love to have one of those. Just as an Atari fan, I would love to say I've got an Atari Cosmos and play it. But that is not likely. Still, if we're doing wishes here, if Novabug's list is for anything under the sun, sure, give me an Atari Cosmos. That's number 2. So item number 3 is a pinball machine, but not just any pinball machine. I was in the early days trying to emulate pinball games on my computer and managed to figure out how to play a thing called Visual Pinball, it was called. And fell in love with 3 pinball machines that I'm going to do videos about someday. Love them. And one of them is this third item on my list. Now, the other 2, why not them? Because I can actually play them on the pinball arcade. So that's kind of answered that call. But the third one is roller games from Williams. Here's a picture. I don't think this is ever coming to the pinball arcade. It has this great 80s style, roller derby thing going on. The ladies with the big hair, a couple of shots of that. But the problem with roller games is it's actually, part of the reason I like it is it has a catchy tune and those images. Apparently that's actually based on a TV show. And if you look at the actual pinball machine, it's got little Pepsi logos and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a licensing nightmare for Farsight Studios to actually make that possible as a Pinball Arcade DLC. So I don't think it's ever going to happen. So the other 2 pinballs, I can play anytime. But I would like to have a Roller Games pinball machine. There is one locally that's actually for sale and at a very reasonable price. I could almost do it. But there's no room in my place for a pinball machine, and they are so expensive to maintain. I've got friends with pinball machines. I'm just like, no, that's not for me. So, not going to get it, but if I had any wish at all, yeah, Roller Games pinball machine. And my 4th item is on the same wavelength of pinball machines. Since I can't actually fit a real pinball machine in my place, I know there are little toy ones. Tomy does the atomic pinball table, and there's a fellow I subscribe to out of Toronto, Atari Leaf. He's got a Tomy atomic pinball machine and he loves it, and I think it's really cool. A very similar designed one came along around the same era called Stunt Jumper Pinball. Well, first here's some pictures of it. And I'm actually going to put a link below of somebody actually playing a pristine Stunt Jumper. It looks amazing. And it's got like little lights that go off. It's really, really cool. I would love to get that. And I've seen them for sale. There's a fella in Windsor, Ontario who wants 20 bucks for one. Great. There's a guy down in Texas who wants 40 bucks for one. Great. But all of these people want to charge over $100 in shipping to me. I have inquired. There's one for sale in France. There's one for sale in Estonia. They don't even ship to Canada. This thing is turning out to be impossible to get my hands on. So yeah, item number 4, I would love to get a Stunt Jumper pinball machine, because the little toy one, because they seem impossible to get my hands on. Alright, so that's it. That's my Friday Foursome entry. I'll submit this now. If I can I cheat? Can I do an honorable mention? This isn't really a game, but it is game related. There was I kind of like pocket watches, and when Assassin's Creed 4 came out, they made an Assassin's Creed 4 branded pocket watch. And they actually have also done it for Assassin's Creed Unity. I've looked online, there are tons of the Unity ones available, and I don't really like them. They're all kind of steampunk and cogs and wheels and stuff. The one for Assassin's Creed 4 looked much cleaner, nicer, and that's a better game, to be honest. But these were just a limited promotional item, and they go for crazy money on eBay. It kills me. I watched Ashens. He did a little, ripping over and tat on his couch the way he does. He had one. He just opened it and he said, "No, here you go, an Assassin's Creed 4 pocket watch. Isn't that interesting?" And he tossed it. And I was like, dude, I would love to have one of those. But, because I really like Assassin's Creed. If you've ever seen any of my videos, I'm a bit of a big Assassin's Creed fan. And a pocket watch fan. This is a match made in heaven. So again, that's not really a gaming device or game machine, but I just thought I'd throw that in there as an honorable mention. Alright, so I'm going to submit this now. That is my video response to Novabug. I hope he has a look at this. And until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.